I can't even imagine how a fiber that is very tough and rough can be turned into soft fiber and that can be made into clothing. And so that's the ingenuity of Hmong people, right? Especially women who can just use the natural resources around them to turn into clothing for their husbands and their sons and their children and their themselves and their daughters, right? And so this is the significance of that, is that we all should be proud of our heritage, because without markets, without machinery, we can turn natural products like hemp into clothing. My name is Gaying Yang, and I'm one of the founders of RedGreen Rivers. Today we're at the Coalesce fashion show, and RedGreen Rivers have been working with two designers who are using the hemp from Hmong women in Vietnam and Thailand to design two lines of clothing.
I own Emperor Designs, and I'm collaborating with RedGreen Rivers. I am featuring a small 5-piece collection called Source that showcases hemp, which is pretty much a core fabric used by the Hmong people, made by Hmong people.
In the old days, Hmong people lived in remote mountaintops, right? And so didn't have access to the market. So Hmong women sold the seeds of the hemp plant and cultivated the hemp and stripped the bark from the hemp to process it and then turn it into fibers that are woven into fabrics.
Sunkissed by Gap Oscar Lee amplifies the boldness of the Hmong diaspora across oceans. Together, the collections invite you to reimagine Hmong hemp into the future.
I didn't really realize how important hemp really is to Hmong culture, and how much actually it has a history of maintaining and keeping our stories through clothing. The journey of like acquiring the material to learn about it, and then to come to terms of like, how do people even use hemp if it's so hard to weave and to grow? And every time I asked one of the makers, they would say like, if you know it's going to for something better, then it's okay to cut it, or it's okay to like transform it into something else. And I think that's like a really beautiful metaphor for how culture adapts. And RedGreen Rivers is like one of these very unique social enterprise business that really focuses on the stories of the artists and artisans. And that's really rare today, to have like a business that cares so much about the makers and their stories.
What I'm trying to do is by investing in the makers and encouraging them to continue to make the handmade products, we're lifting up the livelihood of those women abroad, but also investing in young people to learn more about their own history and the rich, cultural practices that we have. In the trips that we've been making, we are also noticing that fewer and fewer people are making hemp, especially using indigenous skills that were passed down from our ancestors. A lot of it is because of global capitalism, right? It's easier to go to the market and buy machine-made products and so on and so forth. But I feel that it's important to also find ways to help invest in these women, and also to ensure that these indigenous skills, which are legacies of our own people, continue to live on.
Knowing about where hemp comes from is like a direct story about our lineage and where we come from as Hmong people, and like why hemp is such an important material.
We can start to appreciate and to increase our demand. The more we demand, the more they'll make as well too, right? And so it's really part of that economics as well too. And when we buy from them, it makes a big difference. If we don't buy from them, then they'll stop making the products as well too. And eventually the skills will die out, right? And so there's this fear and sense of urgency that RedGreen Rivers feels that we all need to be working collectively to make sure that some of these indigenous skills live on forever, right? From generation to generation, like it has been in the many generations that we have existed in this world.